While notions of a U.S. decline are premature and exaggerated, there are real problems down the road that need to be addressed. The United States, U.S., has entered into what can be termed a new Cold War against Russia and China. While this is being put across as a contest between democracy and authoritarianism, people are not buying it. The obvious reason for the U.S. move appears to be a desire to maintain its global primacy against the China challenge. In balance, it can be argued that notions of a U.S. decline are premature. The country continues to have a vibrant economy, backed by substantial financial heft in research and development, R&D, prowess, and is demographically comfortable. It also remains the world's leading military power. However, its soft power has been dented by developments back home and its inconsistent behavior globally. The U.S. almost matches the share of its proportion of global GDP by spending some 27.3% of the worldwide spending on R&D as compared to China's 21.9%. Standard measures of prosperity like gross domestic product, GDP, show that there is little change in the American share for the last 40 years as it remains around 25% of the world's GDP. In 1980, the U.S. share as a proportion of the world GDP was 25.16%. Today, 40 years later, the proportion is roughly the same at 24.2%. The U.S. almost matches the share of its proportion of global GDP by spending some 27.3% of the worldwide spending on R&D as compared to China's 21.9%. The continuing attraction of the U.S. as the foremost international destination for research and education gives it the ability to acquire talent from all parts of the world. Yet, in the eyes of the world, the U.S. setbacks, beginning with the war in Vietnam and followed by the disastrous interventions in Iraq and Afghanistan, have provided space for its rivals to advance. Domestic developments. The real setback to the U.S. has been in its soft power, and this has manifested in various ways. One measure of this is the deep political divide in its domestic politics, where polls consistently show that 70% of Republican voters do not see Biden as the legitimate winner of the 2020 presidential elections. The country's financial sector was also nearly gutted by the global financial crisis of 2008. As a result, the wealth of American families is yet to recover from the impact of that event. Income inequality in the U.S. has increased since 1980 and is greater than in peer countries. Over time, the country has assumed that its superior democracy and governance system will see it through any competition. However, this system now appears to be hopelessly gridlocked. The ability of its political system to function in a bipartisan manner no longer exists. Given this situation, the country seems unable to deal with its festering social problems, ranging from mass shootings and gun-related violence to chronic poverty, homelessness, and drug abuse. This inevitably has given rise to the view that the U.S. is in a state of irretrievable decline. Globalization. Linked to this is the U.S. faltering approach to globalization. The U.S., which largely remained unscathed by World War II, helped shape what is called the liberal international order. It is based on three legs: the UN system to maintain international order, associate agencies to promote health and labor standards, and finally, agencies like the World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank to regulate the global economic system. To deal with the challenge of the erstwhile Soviet Union, the US also crafted a worldwide chain of military alliances: North Atlantic Treaty Organization, Central Treaty Organization, Southeast Asia Treaty Organization, of which only the first named has survived. Political trends emerged questioning the American global role and the premises of liberal internationalism, which further questioned the US paying a disproportionate share for everything: global security in the UN system. The US created global trading system was skillfully used by China to emerge first, as the factory of the world, and then, as a steadily growing military power. With its focus on the war on terror and disasters in Iraq and Afghanistan, the US began to neglect large parts of the world. Within the US too, political trends emerged questioning the American global role and the premises of liberal internationalism, which further questioned the US paying a disproportionate share for everything: global security in the UN system. This led to the election of Donald Trump as the president in 2016, and many of the issues that were simmering came to a boil. The Trump administration focused on a trade war with China, disdained international organizations, and walked out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership (TPP). Worse, the president was dismissive toward America's own military allies and partners and demanded they pay a fair share for their security. And when the world was hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, the US declined to take the global leadership to combat it.